Unmute. Well, hello everyone, and hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. There was a flurry of people just come on in the last couple of minutes, so we're at 122 participants. So we're going to take the next 45 minutes or so to talk about graduation and all of those things that need to be in place in order to actually get to that point and enjoy the celebration, whatever that might look like. So I am recording this session. We'll make it available online, probably through our YouTube channel. So you don't need to take copious notes or anything like that. It will be made available, as I say, at a later date. If you have questions as we go through this, please use the chat box to put your questions in there, and we'll answer them as we go through or at the very end. If we have time to answer questions, we'll answer it there. So, all right, so the other thing that I want to put out there at the very start, just as a bit of a qualifier. So when we get to that point in the presentation this evening where we're talking about the graduation activities, we just, these days, there always needs to be that caveat, right? That asterisk that says, these are our plans. We don't know what's going to happen between now and then. Of course, with COVID and everything that might develop between now and then, it might cause us to change our plans and our planning. So what we're going to share with you tonight as far as the graduation activities really is, cross our fingers, it's our best case scenario. And we really, really, really hope that provincially we're at a place where we can enjoy that complete grad experience that we want to provide to our students. But it is important to know that that is best case scenario, and who knows what it's actually going to look like based on the circumstances in the province at the time. So we've got 4 of us here who are going to be talking to various slides. So we are going to be rotating and changing seats. So over to Mrs. Lambie.
Hey. Good evening, graduates of 2021. Woo! I hear applause. And parents, thank you for joining us this evening. It's really important to me that we move forward all with the shared understandings. So students know pretty well, all of them know the diploma requirements. We've been hammering it into them in advisory for at least 3 years now. But we also we're three-prong here, three-prong approach to get kids across the finish line. That's school, parents, and of course, the student. The agenda for tonight, we're briefly going to go over the diploma requirements, graduation and celebration information, and the Q&A at the end. I have a tiny bit of post-secondary stuff, but not a lot. So grade 12 is a really big year. We've been busy going into classrooms and doing post-secondary prep. We've done how to apply, tips for applying to post-secondary, scholarship information's been distributed. Those presentations are in a Google Classroom for students to access. We're also in the process of putting it right on the website for parents to see as well, because we haven't been able to have our assemblies and things that we normally have. Also, students can have one-on-one meetings with myself or Ms. Thiessen, the career advisor, to find out about university requirements, appropriate institutions for academic in partnership with the grades that students are getting at this time, strategic high school programming, doing quite a bit of that. So some students not doing so well in Math 3-1, so we're maybe problem solving that a little bit so they can still get into the program they want to, things like that. Small group application support is happening every Thursday at lunch in the Learning Commons. That's just a drop-in, and that will go on until the end of November. And email communications are being emailed to parents and students through their RV Schools account, with recruiter visits and dates and times and recruiter contact information. So if you have any specific program-specific information or application-specific for a university, contact the recruiter, and the students have that information. We emailed it to them. Now let's open up those grad envelopes. So inside those envelopes, you will see scribbles from myself as the evaluator, Ms. Bonikowski, or Ms. Smid, my co-counselor. So we went through each and every one of you, that's 191 of you, and with a fine tooth comb, we looked at attendance, we looked at your grades, we looked to make sure that you have everything you need. Some of you are at risk. There's slightly over 20 of you who got the at-risk box. Some of you are slightly at risk of attendance. Ms. Bonikowski will address that a little later. And some of us are at risk. So I consider at risk if you're in a core course, so English, social studies, necessary 30 levels, if you're below 55%, because the diploma exams are worth 30%, and usually, traditionally, typically, they bring a student down. So I'm much more comfortable if you're above a 55. So if you're 55 or below, you may have been labeled at risk or monitor, something like that. So if you really don't want to give me gray hair, get your marks up over a 60. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. So the first list is our Springbank Community High School checklist. Then if you look behind that, what I'd like you to do is compare it to the Alberta Education Credential Checklist. So they don't do a deep dive like we do, but they certainly will say you need your English, you need your social, you need 5 30-level credits. So the two should sort of match. I'm hoping that they're similar in what they're reporting. I did give students a green gift from guidance. It was a green do-a-tang to get them started to see their detailed academic report, which is available in their MyPass. And that outlines every course they have received in Alberta, the grade, the credits, when they took it, the dates, which is really handy when they're doing their applications. So the students have that, the parents do not. It was too much for us to photocopy twice. So if you do want to see it, you can log on to your student's MyPass account, or he or she can show it to you. And then also in there is the grad booklet, which we thought about after. We could have just digitally given it to everybody, but here you go. Now you can write in it and take notes. Sometimes it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, that's for sure. All right, so on the grad credential report, I want you to check, please, and make sure the address is correct. When students' diploma exams in June are graded, and when students have passed all their requirements, Alberta Education will mail your diploma exam, not your diploma exam, your diploma to that address. So please make sure that's the correct address. Students, if you do not get the diploma in the mail, do not assume you received your high school diploma. Something might have gone sideways on the diploma exam. So it will come in the mail. Usually about the 3rd week in July, they start sending them out. Some of you, lucky grade 12s, there's probably 11 of you will get your diploma after semester 1. You've met the requirements already. So now you just got to focus on post-secondary requirements. All right, so credit-wise, we're doing okay. There's a few of you who are low 101, 102, 103, which means, you know, you have to pass everything you're taking. So in grade 10, you're scheduled for 40 credits. So if you're on track and pass all those courses, you would be 40 or more. In grade 11, again, most of you were scheduled for 40 credits. If you passed everything, you'd have 40 or more, taking you into grade 12 with 80 credits. And then in grade 12, most of you are carrying a 30 credit load, which would leave you to graduate with 110 credits. The government, Alberta Education, says that you only need 100 credits plus these other requirements, but 100 credits. So we have automatically built in a cushion for most of you. And some of you have needed that cushion and some of you have not. Many of you have 115, 120 credits. So you're doing awesome. Now, I do want to talk about the 30 credit rules. So 2 years ago, we changed it. So if a student was registered to graduate with 108 or more credits, they could apply for a spare. And if approved, they could carry 25 credits. So the 30 credit rule applies for most students. Unless a student applied for a spare, then they could be carrying 25. However, I do want to say that yesterday when these grad booklets went out, under the valedictorian criteria, it states the valedictorian If you want to be nominated for that, valedictorians do need to be carrying a 30 credit load because it's an academic rigorous nomination. So they must be carrying a 30 credit load if you want to be considered for valedictorian. And that credit load counts September till June. Courses taken in the summer don't go towards valedictorian nominations. Okay, and the slide here is just quickly running through the diploma requirements, and we have checked off, and if you were missing something, it would be highlighted on that very first page that was in your booklet. So phys ed 10, comm, 10 credits in the following categories. So CTS, second languages, fine arts, phys ed 2030, registered apprenticeship. You only need a science 20 level and a math 20 level. Shocking, I know, but that's true. You don't ever have to take math and science again in grade 12 if you don't want to. And then of course, when you hit grade 12, you have to have an English 30 level and a social 30 level that is non-negotiable. You have to pass those with 50%. And something else that is non-negotiable is 10 other credits at the 30 level. And many of you have that because you need those academics to get into your university programs. And many of you have them on in CTS or in a fine arts category. And then at the end, you need 100 credits on the nose and less than 15 absences. Okay, now this is important, the MyPass account. So each and every student has an Alberta Education MyPass account, and we have been hounding the grade 12s, and I think there's only 2 left who don't have it working, but this is a really important account because once you leave us, this is where you will order your transcripts. This is where you will register for diploma exams if you're not taking them with us. Actually, it's not when you leave us, but when you leave us, this is how you access all your high school education stuff. So that needs to be working and you need to know how to access it. And you also need to make sure it's not attached to your RV Schools account, because once you graduate, that account will no longer exist. And remember when I came around, I said, make sure that you get a professional-ish email account, you know, not hot stuff in iCloud.com. I've seen that before. That's why it's on my brain for an example. Okay, detailed academic report. So many schools will ask you to send an interim transcript. So I want to let you know that your detailed academic report, although on the bottom of the report in big letters, it says this is an unofficial transcript. Most universities will accept it as an interim report card because you, Alberta students, if they want an official one, it's actually not official until you're done, which is the 3rd week of July, and those diploma exams are graded. But if they want one right now, you have to order it through your MyPass account. You have to pay $10 and the ministry will mail it to the university. But the problem with the official transcript right now is it doesn't have your courses that you're registered in your grade 12 year, and the universities need to know that. So your detailed academic report will work. So you can download that from your MyPass account. Students can put it on their desktop and upload it to the university site. Or if they want the school to mail it, we have applications in our office. Students come in and put in an application and they tell us exactly what they need us to do. Are we snail mailing it, which means you have to provide the envelope and the stamps because we don't pay for, or we cannot pay for postage, or we will email it for you if it has to come directly from the school. But we need also the correct email address. So those application for transcripts, Ms. Thiessen is the chief in charge of transcripts and she will accept those applications. The school also has a really nice official transcript, but it's only official if all your courses are on it. So for those of you who took courses in summer school or outside of the province, they don't appear. Our Springbank transcript only has the classes you took at Springbank. So sometimes that one won't work. Fourthly, if your university requires interim grades, then we have to send the Springbank transcript because that's the only one that has your interim grades. But be careful, you want to make sure your interim grades are good before we send it. So get those marks up before you tell us to hit the submit button. This is just talking about Miss Thiessen. And so I've had some kids come in, the Their institution wants transcripts. And so I will say to them, what do they say exactly? Do they want it uploaded? Do they want me to email it? Do they want us to snail mail it? Do they want the ministry to send it? So we have to read that carefully and do exactly as they say. And sometimes we do it twice just to make sure it gets to where we need it to be. And so please read that and know exactly what you're asking us for when you come in. And sometimes it's vague. So we call the recruiter, or you can talk to the recruiter, which would work best. Okay, I'm going to hand over the platform to Ms. Bonikowski to talk about requirements. I'll see you later.
Hi, everyone. It's like Miss Lambie's done this before. So, so if you look at page 3 of your booklet, the requirements are there. And so some important information, you know that there are certain grad requirements in terms of courses, but there's also certain things that are important as well, including your attendance. And so if you've missed more than 15 classes already, which has happened in some cases, we need to have a conversation. And so you can come to the front office or you can send me an email and we need to have a chat about what's been getting in the way of you coming here. And now, obviously, if you've been out for self-isolation, that's a different situation, but we still should talk. The other thing being, so attendance is important and you need to pay attention to deadlines that are listed on page 3. So if you have a mark below 50%, a letter will come out to both your parents and yourself at about first week of April, I think, or April 16th, it says here. And that will say that you are currently off the grad list until you get up to a passing grade. And so it's really, really important that you pay attention to that. Those of us taking online courses, it's really easy to let them get away from us. And so we will be chasing you. And as Mr. Frederick says, when we introduce the homework hotel, you can check in, but you can never leave. You can leave once your stuff's done and once you're passing. So I can just... So if you're on track or at risk, go through your folder, look at your DAR, look at the Alberta Education Form, see the ones that we've done, make sure that you're on track. Those of you that there's little notes about making an appointment with Miss Lambie, or you need to talk to me about attendance, please do so ASAP. So how do you stay on track? Well, you attend classes, like I keep saying, you study, you submit assignments, and you pass assessments. So pretty straightforward, and I know all of you can do it. So we're good. Again, here's just a little bit of the process. So if you're at risk, you'll hear from the classroom teacher several times probably. And then from there, we will do a plan, we will track, and then that may include having a parent meeting and bringing everyone in to come around the table and to develop a plan to make sure that you stay on track, because we want you to graduate and we want you to be successful and be a grad of 2021. So that's it for me. Back to Miss Lambie. Thank you, everyone.
Hey again. Okay, so this is newish. So as of 2015, 2016, Alberta Education started granting students, grade 12 students, extra time for diploma exams. So all students will have that, and most of them it's up to 6 hours. As far as we know, to date, the diploma exams are still scheduled to run in January. That could change, but as far as we know right now, they are running. So I would definitely plan for that. I would definitely plan to start looking into registering for diploma prep. The November, opt-in, opt-out decision was made quite late, so I'm not sure. I have heard nothing about diploma exams. So as far as we know, they're running. There's something new-ish here, and that is for the students who took courses over the summer from Blythe or MEI. Those are Ontario programs. So you just need to be sure that you have sent the conversion in to me, and I think most of you have, that those conversions, that pass is on your detailed academic report. When you are applying to universities, you have to make sure you request 2 transcripts, your Ontario one and your Alberta transcript. All right, I do want to go over valedictorian requirements really quickly. So there is a committee that selects valedictorians. Initially, you are the 10 to 12 top academic students are invited to apply for valedictorian, and it's quite a rigorous application. It's a very big role. And the criteria is, as you know, you must be carrying 30 credits with Springbank Community High School. 70 points are based on academic achievement. So a large chunk of valedictorian is academic standing. 30 points are broken down into 4 categories. The first one is how many years have you been in Springbank Community High School? Participation within Springbank Community High School and the community, more so Springbank Community High School. Character, worth 10 points. Are you a good leader? Are you a good representative of the principals of Springbank Community High School, and provide some examples of that? And then there's a video, because valedictorian is addressing your class. So you need to be able to say something memorable and entertaining and engaging. So there's a video portion to that too. And now I'm going to hand it over to star of the show, Miss OP, for grad stuff.
Good evening, buenas noches to everybody. Thank you for being here and listening to all of this important information that we have for today. So I am going through this lovely book that was in the package. I guess the most important thing for now is we need to be flexible, know that we will do the best that we can given the circumstances. Grad last year was fantastic. I would like to see it back at, it's not at the TELUS Convention Center. We have moved it to Winsport. I was hoping to get 1 year under my belt before I had this year, because of course I have a son graduating as well. So I haven't worked with Winsport yet. So I'm usually crazy around grads. So I'm going to be a little bit more crazy because I have no idea what's going on. So we'll get it figured out though. So the date is June 5th, 2021 at Winsport. On that first page, you will see an email address. You don't need to submit these quite yet, but baby pictures need to be sent there. When you are sending your baby pictures in, I have asked that they start being sent in February 1st. I always start in September, and in May, I'm still looking for baby pictures. So I'm doing it different this year. And we're not going to worry about baby pictures until February, and maybe the shorter deadline will allow us to get these in a little bit quicker. So that is where baby pictures are going to be sent. If you have questions about grad, send it to my email, which is on this PowerPoint slide, and I will be sure to answer it or get the right person to answer it for you. And I am moving in through the grad booklet starting after valedictorian, which is on page 4. So as I mentioned, the ceremony is June 5th, and it's going to be held at Winsport starting at 10 a.m. It usually is between 2 and 3 hours. We have it perfected down to about 2 hours and 20 minutes, but we've got Mr. Longsbury, who is new, and so he's going to have to learn everything. We've got Ms. Banikowski that's only seen a couple of grads go through. So the staging and everything that kind of goes on with the picture that you get taken, we want it to be memorable, and so we take our time. We also do a really good job. What?
Just baby pictures when you're finished. Just have to repeat because you cut off.
Okay. I'll repeat baby pictures after. And so with the morning ceremony, the evening's dinner will also take place at Winsport. We're quite excited to be working with them. I've heard some great things about the meals. Ticket pricing should be a little bit cheaper. We do not know what that is right now. And the fact that we don't have to pay for parking downtown and drive all the way downtown, I think is a bonus for all of us because most of us live in this end of town. And there will be a dance to follow that, and that will also be at Winsport. If you're wondering and thinking about Winsport and where this is going to be, it's the big arena. They take down all of the glass and they hang up some curtains. They've got a stage set up for us, and we will figure out numbers. We are the largest graduating class that we've had since I've been doing grad for over the last 20 years. So we don't generally have to put a ticket number, how many people can come, especially for the morning. But for the evening, we do have a max capacity, but some people come with 3 or 4 people and other people bring 20. And so we will deal with that when the time comes. Grad fees have been put out, and we have asked that you actually pay them by October 31st. Again, we need to be fluid and flexible. Right now, we're asking that the $180 be paid, and we've got things that need to be paid for already, and so we need that money in that account to start making those things happen. people have asked in the past, what does that $180 cover? So it's things like we purchase the gowns and the stoles that the kids now get to keep. They keep the cap and the tassel. They get this lovely picture. Last year we didn't get the picture, but they've got this lovely leather portfolio that has the picture and the certificate. So that's a nice keepsake. The decorations, we do provide an honorarium to our guest speaker. It's not a lot, but it's something. Facility rentals, AV equipment, you'd be shocked at how much grad costs. It's a very expensive wedding, but when you're thinking about me, it's like trying to herd 192 people, teenagers, plus their families. So it's a very large wedding. Grad pictures are scheduled for March 8th to the 16th. Right now they're scheduled for in school. When the kids are getting that taken, we're asking that they use it during their spare if they've got one. And then if not, just work around their class schedules. We don't want them missing school for their grad pictures. I do want to bring to your attention that no pets and animals are allowed in the school building for that. So if you are adamant about getting a grad picture with a lovely fur pet, you need to book into the city studio, and they will gladly take that picture for you then. We also include a handshake when the students cross the stage so that you can sit back and relax. There's a picture with Mr. Longsberry where the kids are shaking their hands, and we get this lovely picture of them with their official certificate with their tassel turned to the right side. And that also gets sent out to the families. Grad rings are kind of a thing of the past, but some people do want those grad rings. And so unfortunately with COVID, they weren't able to come into our school this year. So on there is a phone number that you can call, and I'm sure there's a website that they can direct you to. And if you are wanting a grad ring, you can get it that way. The valedictorian does get gifted a grad ring. So that's kind of cool. Grad committee, I've had quite a few students interested in grad committee so far this year. And again, I'm doing things a little bit differently. Right now, we're focusing on the school clothing. So we were able to place that order and hoping that they come in the next couple of weeks. The grad hoodies and sweatshirts look fantastic, and super excited to see the kids wear it proud. Unfortunately, if you didn't order one of those, it's too late. We had to place the bulk order, and that has been placed already. And so that's what the focus of grad committee was for the last the last month or so. I did get the students to write down what they were interested in helping out. So I've got a variety of students that will help with the morning ceremony, that will help with the evening ceremony, that will help with the legacy project. So there's lots of different components. And so if you've missed any of those meetings and that's something that you want to be a part of, please just look at the announcements and listen to them, and you're more than welcome to come join us. Again, we're holding off on doing some of this stuff. We'll be focusing on this stuff more in February, just because I want to make sure that we know what's going on with the province. It's a lot of work to put in for it to not end up that way. And then again, we've got some ideas around how last year worked for grad, and it was fantastic. So we've got at least that behind us, and we will just kind of change how the boat's traveling, and we'll get through and do something awesome for the kids because they deserve that. I've got 3 lovely ladies that have stepped up as my parent graduation liaisons. So that is Sandy Amin, Nicole Thompson, and Ann Percy. So I look forward to working with you ladies. Thank you for agreeing to help me out. Right now, we don't have anything for you guys to do. I'm the lead to grad, but I'm not the only person that does this. I've got a great team behind me. Miss Towns, I'm on page 7 if you're wanting to follow along. Miss Towns and Miss Allegan help out and deal with the finances of things. Of course, Miss Lambie and Miss Bonikowski work with the students in their grad requirements. I'm the contact person for Jostens and Life Touch. I'm the contact person for the cap and gown. I am missing about 20 students' heights. Again, I'm doing things a little bit earlier so that if we need to get the gowns handed out, I've got them to hand out. And so if you received an email from me, so students, you need to be checking your RVS accounts. The online students need to be checking the RBS accounts, and there's about 20 of you that I really need your heights. I'd like to actually place the order by Monday. So if you've got any questions about that, just send me an email. But if you were on my list and I didn't have a height for you, I did send that list out to teachers today, and I got about 5 or 6 of them. So that was good. But that's why you have to go to advisory as well, because in advisory, that's where you're going to hear all of these things about grad. I'm not a part of the valedictorian committee, but there's a group of staff with admin and Miss Lambie. Miss Allegan prints out the certificates for us. I'm the main coordinator for the banquet. Miss Allegan is my sidekick at times. And we also have a company that we use where we print off the programs and the menu cards. And then we've got the grad clothing organized, which is fantastic. We're not sure what the legacy project is going to be yet this year. Just so you guys know, in second semester, we collect the bottles. We've got a great company that comes and actually picks up the bottles for us. So they make it really easy. And we get the money for that. And that money goes towards whatever the legacy project is that the students decide. Sometimes it's something close to near and dear to one of our students. And they decide on where this money is going to go, and it's sent in with a nice gift that this is a gift from the grad class at SCHS of 2021. And then Miss Gaudio and the students put in a ton of work making the grad video. I had to do the baby picture video this last year because of COVID, and let me tell you, I just appreciate what those students can do, because I'm totally tech dumb, and that grad like it took me 25 hours the first time round, and then I had to double check it, and then I had to size the pictures, and I wanted to gouge my eyes out. So if we go back into COVID lockdown, I'm not doing it. So some student is going to do it. I don't care who you are, but I'm not doing it. So students, we need a committee for that, because I'm not doing it. And I just want you to know too that we do have an Instagram page that is monitored by myself. I do have students that are running it. We need to remember that the Instagram page is a way of getting information out. It's not a way of bashing ideas. Again, my door is always open. You need to know that we work hard and we have different circles of friends that are amongst the grad committee, so that we're trying to get the messaging out. But if you're ever unsure about something, I'd rather that you just come talk to me or talk to some of the students that are in grad committee. Bring your concerns forward. When we kind of put a poll out there, these are the 3 songs, right? We get back, well, I don't like that song, or that song sucks, or let's do this song. There's lots of vetting that goes to all of this stuff. Of course, it needs to be school appropriate. The message needs to be proper. There's so many things that are behind the scene that I just would like you all to know that I appreciate everybody's feedback, but the Insta page is not really a place for that because it turns into a spiral of people giving all of their opinions, and it's usually not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not effective, right? And so that is a place for information to go. And when we ask you to vote on something, please do that. And again, if it's something that you're not liking what you're seeing, come talk to me and we'll talk about your ideas and we'll figure it out. So that is that, class of 2021. I can't believe we're at this point. These kids came in grade 9, totally immature, thought that they were never going to survive. And now so many of them have a real special place in my heart. And grad is always hard for me. And I'm really looking forward to it and looking forward to working with the students and seeing the parents and hoping for our fingers crossed. I want grad as bad as you guys do. I wanted it that way last year as well. Again, I keep making reference to last year because we didn't have a clue what we were doing. And in the end, the 3 days or 2 or 3 days that we did it, we got such positive feedback. I just need you all to know that I'm on side of making sure that a celebration happens for these kids. So have a good night. What was the question about the baby pictures?
Oh, just what date, but then it's February 1st, someone else.
Okay, sounds good, perfect. So I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. Lonsberry, and then at the end, if there's any questions, start typing them into the chat box, and that's how we'll kind of do our question and answer period. Thanks for coming tonight. Looking forward to seeing you guys.
So I get to talk about non-sanctioned grad events. So this is typically the part that Mr. Frederick might talk about, in particular, the image that you're looking at. And part of his message would be, don't be that guy or girl. So, and I believe he is going to make sure to have that conversation with our graduates at some point this year. So students, you can look forward to that. I do, though, want to, on a more serious note, actually, I do want to talk about historically what has happened that are activities that are not sanctioned or supported by the school, just to make sure parents that you are aware, that you're aware of them and that you're aware of that history of them, and that these are activities that the school is absolutely not a part of. So the grad campout, and keep in mind that I'm coming pretty new to this, so I'm learning along with everyone else. The grad campout was apparently an event where students come to the school and literally camp out. That's not something that we can support. It's school property, and so that is definitely not a sanctioned event. Grade 12 skip day, probably not a surprise that that's one that we are definitely not supportive of. If for whatever reason students do make a decision that learning doesn't stop, they're still going to be responsible for everything that happens that day. Grade 12 is just so important, and there's so much to get through that while it might be tempting to repeat what has apparently been history and take a grade 12 skip day, that's not something that we are supportive of. Grad kickoff, a party. I don't know anything about it, don't want to know any more about it, but you have to know that that is not something that the school is going to be supportive of or anything like that. And of course, I mean, whatever students and families organize, that's fine. But we want to make sure, parents, that that if your child comes to you and says, hey, the school is okay with grade 12 skip day, we're giving you the message right now, actually, we're not okay with that. Lastly, and so there is a history of pranking, the grade 12s pranking the school. And honestly, that's okay. But big caveat here, if you are going to choose to do something like that, you absolutely have to make sure that it is appropriate, that it is not going to harm anyone or anything. So let me give you an example of an exceptionally bad idea for a prank. Apparently it came up one year, the plan was to release a bunch of bees into the school as a prank. Well, it doesn't take a whole lot of forethought to understand just how bad an idea that is for all of those people, students and staff alike, who are anaphylactic to bee stings. So it's that sort of thing that we absolutely cannot have. So students, I would really strongly advise you, if you've got some ideas, if this is part of your planning, you've got some ideas about what you might want to do, I highly recommend that one or two of you, someone comes and talks to us and just nudge, wink, wink. What do you think about this? The last thing we want is a prank gone wrong where someone really pays a significant price for it. No one wants that. We absolutely want to avoid that. And if this is part of your planning, maybe we can work together to avoid that. That would be our hope. So any other questions okay. So seeing no other questions in the text chat, I would say, please do, students and parents, feel free to reach out to our staff when questions arise. We're more than happy to answer those. Thank you again so much for joining us this evening. And we are so looking forward to this celebration at the end of the year. It's a tremendous accomplishment. And we're just really excited about sharing that with you. So I think that's it. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Well done, everyone.